It's fucker. Yeah, so I think talking about the policies, talking about strategies, are we into strategic voting? Are we going to just go liberal, go NDP as per what we've done generationally or time and time again? What's the plan? What is the plan? Do you think Pierre has a plan? Do you think Carney has a plan? What's Jugmeat's plan? Elizabeth May, how does she fall into this? Not Francois Legault, but what's his name? Yves-François Blanchet. There he is. Hi, Yves. Member of Parliament. Yeah, of course you are. Man, he's got the best looks, He gives the best, stare, like, really, did you say that, man? He's great. Smartvoting.ca. Let's take a look at smartvoting.ca. Smartvoting.ca. Jugmeat's poor taste behavior. I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention to that. Buy. You have to buy stuff? Okay. Keep Canada Trump free. Smartvoting.ca. Do you guys want to visit this site with me? Shall we? Smartvoting.ca. I wouldn't mind talking about the WEF as well and why people are perpetually afraid of the WEF and yada, 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 right? No, I don't want effects, bro. I just want this off for a second. So this is smartvoting.ca. You'll see that I have an old laptop. It's old, but it's clean. So what are we doing here? Scroll down to start. Lawn signs now available. Oh, right on. Select an election. April 28th, 2025. Clickety-click barber trick. So here we have projections, I assume, at the moment. I don't know what this is. What is this? Why is there two sides? Oh, federal predictions with the vote split. Choose a riding. No, I want to see the rest of your site. My riding. All right. So I gotta choose my riding. Let's choose a riding. I'm gonna choose a random riding that may or may not be mine, just because random, it might land on mine as well. It might not. Yeah, this is mine. So I guess there's no strategic voting here.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I just wanted to explain to you what you were looking at the top on the other page.
The other page, the other page. Oh, the thing that I didn't have any clue of what it was?
Right.
Oh,
I'm gonna do my best. I've been listening to JB, so.
Where are we here? Where'd it go? How come I didn't get it? Oh, because I have to select the election.
You have to click that, yeah.
You don't have to be so polite. You can just tell me that I'm crazy.
You're fine.
Let's
So
start with this.
That's the polling percentages, and then on the right, that's the projected seats.
What?
The projected seats for the ridings.
With or without a vote split?
Now that's where you're gonna have to talk to JB.
Because it says with a vote split here. Oh, this is without the vote split. Oh, this is like if we acted and if we do this, it goes to. Well,
There you go.
That's not favoring any vote splitting. Yeah, I'd like to see what's going on with the ridings, right? Like, and see what how they break down individually. Let's see, Canada. All right. Which one is a good one to check? Oh, thank you for coming up and explaining that, by the way. I really appreciate that. All right. So Elections Canada polling or poll tracker from CBC? Do we trust the CBC? What does the CBC say? TheWrit.ca. Oh, shit, son. Let's right-click that and open it in a new tab. What's going on over here? Type your email. Maybe later. The Writ. Oh. This looks like a publication of sorts. The Ray, seat-by-seat projections. Here we go. Today's poll tracker. That better not take me back to the other page. What's going on in the chat? Hey, thank you for coming up in our live today. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to jump on up and have a conversation about the upcoming election, how you feel about the Liberal Party of Canada, how you feel about the Conservative First Choice, Canada First for a change. Jesus Christ, Pierre, like, are you serious? Am I taking crazy pills here? Mark Carney running in Nepean instead of Edmonton or Alberta, because this guy's gone, no longer representing liberal principles. So I'm guessing he's going to pretty much crush that spot, right? Like, there's no see the plan. Mark's plan, meet Mark, get involved. Conservatives, do we want to look up anything else? Does anybody want to come and justify voting for Pierre Poilievre? Hey, I don't usually vote Liberal, but I usually vote NDP or Green, but it looks like a red vote for me. Oh, that sucks. I hope, yeah, my best, I hate it when people have to hold their nose and vote for a party for the sake of defeating another party. To me, that's, antithetical to the system and the intent of our system. But, that is only if the other side or other parties aren't coalescing and becoming one. So they have a full coalition on the other side that is locked, stock, two smoking barrels, and they're ready to come at us full force. And we're sitting here arguing about social programs, and who's going to get the money and who's not getting enough money. So I think that's a big difference when you're talking about strategic voting and really aligning with each other instead of infighting. So my proposition has always been to, form a coalition of sorts. I had another something open the other day where I was messing around here. There's a WEF website, by the way. If you're ever wondering why people are scared, here is the website. I am already signed in. Oh, I guess I shouldn't have done that. I was kind of hoping. And so you can see the things that I am interested in are here, right? Spotlights, and then you can customize your feed just like you can with social media apps. There's just no full-time scroll or whatever it's called. What is this one? Oh, right, the Harper government. Sorry, I was just doing some quick research the other day. Definitely, I don't just, I didn't see that. Yeah. This was like the initial part of the search, what it is, right? Biggest threats, and you can click on this, or you can go to national security and all that stuff, and you can read up on the different articles if you wanted. But I was just reinforcing what I had, the claim from the other day. I had something up here in a different. So here, look at this. So this is like, I was just messing around, and I decided that I would try to come up with a strategy, right, on how an individual would formulate um, a platform, right? What is your platform? So your mission statement is here, and then you go through with how you would pay for things and your objectives and stuff like that. But certain things I didn't include in here. There's different policies and stuff like that. And this is kind of what I expected to see when I go to look for, a platform. This is kind of how I want the platform laid out. So my idea, I was just toying with it, was, build 3 cities, right? Completely new, innovative cities, blah, blah, blah. I've already explained it. It costs about $1 billion per city, $3 billion initial startup for 3 to start up at the same time. And then, you go through your pros and cons, and talk about what would happen. Nationalized agriculture, nationalized resource management, healthcare transition to expanding healthcare to include more people, more services, so that people don't have to question whether or not they're covered. They can just assume they're covered and just go in and get treatment. Taxation policies, removing taxes, federal income taxes on people who earn less than 500,000, and increasing it, starting the marginal tax rate at 500,000, and then going up from there. And you can see, like, you would have an increase in revenue, not a decrease in revenue, especially when you start taxing churches and taking the CRA efforts that we are committing to people who are being audited who earn less than 500,000, and commit those same things to offshoring companies and stuff like that, and to people who are trying to tax evade and use sheltering programs. Down here, you have military spending. I would actually just keep military spending at modest increases to account for inflation and cost of living increases for soldiers. Work for release. So this is one of the issues that I would have with prison systems, is I would incentivize rehabilitation through education and job training, and I would have prisoners doing re-education, or education, post-secondary included, and have them having access to on-the-job training where possible, to reduce recidivism, and saving costs on incarceration, thus not needing to further expand on the current model of that seems to be inefficient. One thing that's important would be like children's sports and camps. So like a lot of people have a hard time paying for camps. When I was a kid, we all went to camp in the summertime, and I think it was instrumental. So instead of actually just giving people money or giving bursaries, you would still give grants and bursaries to the campsites and stuff, but you would start a trust fund that would use its generated revenue income from that fund to pay for the camp services, pay for the salaries, and offer a reduction in cost for children's camps or children's sports, or even free in some situations for some people. And then the long-term planning and long-term objectives, like the initial platform is like 4.5 billion, and then the annual revenue starts increasing right away. And so this is kind of what I expect to see when I go to a platform, except maybe with more colors and stuff like that. And then you have like your elevator pitch that goes with this, right? So what are your ideas, what are your principles, and that would be the front page of this. And this is kind of what the ideas consist of, and then you would break it down even further, should anybody want to see it. And each one of these segments would be broken down into how you plan to commit or make this viable, right? How will this benefit Canadians, short term, long term, and what would what's the difference, right? What is the difference between this and the other people? But anyways, that's kind of what I was messing around with, and I don't know if anybody else is kind of disappointed with the information that we're getting from the parties about their platform principles and ideas. Instead, we're kind of guessing. But yeah, progressive moose. What's up, buddy? How are you? Na, 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 na. It's really funny, like when you forget how to do something mid live, right? Like I'm like, how do I put up a picture again? Enhance, effects, hit the button, hit the button. I'm just going to read the comments. I do find it can be difficult to try and gather clear info on other platforms and policies. Yeah, right. Has anybody seen? I have the book. I'm listening to it, but it's it's I get the point of his book. It doesn't take long to get the point of his book, and the rest of it's kind of like, yeah, yeah. Sar gets it. But I mean, like there's value in the book. Like there is, it's the messaging is good. Like it's a good message. I just, you know, I can imagine. Yeah, it's called Values for a reason. It's a good message in the book. So, uh, it's about putting the principle of the humans having more value than the revenue that they're generating, I guess, for the companies, and putting value into the humans instead of the company. And that way we can build up from there. I cannot stand that guy's voice. My son's ADHD is kicking in right now. He's going to come down and he's going to ask for dessert. No dessert for you. Yeah, not a fan of Pierre's voice either. Pierre's voice. We're on the third trial medicine for my son's ADHD. Oh, fuck yeah. It's good that you got into it though. Like right now, my son's on 10 milligrams. It's made a world of difference, but like, there's moments, there's moments. Because he doesn't accept failure from his parents. Like, hey, you said you said this was true and you couldn't make it true, so it's on you. And you're just like, he's like, nope. You know what I mean? 2 guest requests and giddy up. Let's go. Hi, diddly do, neighbor.
Evening. How
How
are
are
you?
you?
I'm good. So,
Uh-oh.
question.
Uh-oh.
You've seen the PP ads against Mark Carney, yes?
Yep.
Okay. Very honestly, how childish did they seem to you?
Huh.
Because honestly, I got the impression that they were going for the market of, you know, barely able to vote.
Yeah, it's another Trumpism, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's an appeal to the fear, right? Like the fear of, a lot of it is the fear of inadequacy. It has the fear of like somebody else taking something from you, a fear of not having control, a fear of like losing control eventually or losing identity. So it's all built around xenophobia and, fear. So like that, my opinion is that it's still appealing to the same people, and we're finding out actually how few they are amongst that core group.
I have a question. What is Pierre's platform?
Yeah, we can go and check it out. It's kind of
It's a
vague right now.
broken diving board from where I'm looking.
So Pierre's policy is based around a Canada first for a change, and it's besmirching, defend our steel and aluminum workers is probably his the first one, and then he has Mark Carney, besmirching, and then Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney, trying to make them the same person. But I'm having a hard time actually finding the platform. Found his shadow cabinet, the MPs, National Council, governing documents. Like, they actually have a list of governing documents. Like, if you want to talk about a hint that they're going to be autocratic or implement austerity measures, that you can find governing documents before you can find platform ideas.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised. I honestly thought he was a seat filler for somebody. I am surprised he's still around.
I have always said he wasn't going to be leader upon the next election. I was wrong, I guess. I'll take that one on the chin, but I still don't think they wanted him to be. I just think it kind of turned that corner a little too quickly for them to really react. Like they were calling it for so long, it just smacks them in the face when it happened.
What do you think of Jagmeet? Is he going to have to step down?
If he gains any seats, no, I don't see a point. Especially if they do such, like, if they start coordinating and start whittling away at the base of the CPC and like trying to pull away people who are like not aligned with some of these southern philosophies that are entering there, I think Jagmeet might end up having a couple more seats, if not the same, and then
So in the history of Canadian politics, have we ever had a conservative crossover to NDP?
not as an MP.
Serious question. I
Not
don't
MP.
recall ever hearing it.
Not MP. No.
So that's not likely to happen, right?
No, but like I think like what some people ignore is that I think along the way there are a lot of people who vote conservative when they hear NDP policies, and we've seen it here. They find a way to they're kind of identifying with those policies, and they're like, oh, those are NDP. Well, that's communism at the end, right? That is what they're going to say to try to talk themselves out of it, but they end up being on board with it. So I would some of the voting base, I think you could probably peel away.
Okay, comrade.
I know. But like they always say, like, if you go far enough left, you get your pew-pews back, right? You hear these fundamentalists saying that, and I said that with them, and I kept echoing it amongst them, and they I think a lot of these people would have an easier time voting NDP than they would voting for a liberal representative, and I think. I think we're overlooking that, and some of these conservatives are really unlikable. Like, unlikable.
Here's the thing though. They went after JT's likability, and they were very effective. And JT's a lot more likable than PP.
Yeah, and well, they're starting to target PP's likability too. So
we didn't have any, so it's a huge
he doesn't have
target.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, to be honest. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm not a fan of Pierre Poilievre. I think he appeals to fear. I think he appeals to people who are afraid, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't think that's Canadian, and I think that that's kind of like trying to prepare for the worst. Which it's okay to prepare for the worst, but like expecting the worst to happen is kind of. There's a bunny in the backyard. It's kind of like sorry. It's kind of like
It's not ADHD or what?
Yeah, there's a rabbit in my backyard. my wife pointed out a bunny in our backyard, and I was like, "Oh, bunny." But I think yeah. I think when you point out all of the failures of the conservative government, especially in this kind of moment, especially with the U.S. kind of coming at us and how much work the Liberals did in the last month and a half, 2 months in PR work. I think you're looking at a landslide. I'm just worried about the seats, right? Like because
What
you're
are they
looking at
at now?
seats.
42%?
I'll look right now, actually. Yeah, I looked a couple of
It was
days
up
ago
there somewhere. It was low 40s that last time I heard.
for the Liberals.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what it looked like. Oh, I guess you can't really see it, but that just tells you that Ontario and Quebec is going liberal again federally. So we all know that that's a big.
Yeah, it was low 40s the last time I heard. It was last week sometime that I heard that. Maybe Thursday, Friday.
Yeah. It bumped up quite a bit and then it just kind of stayed there for a few days, but I don't know. I haven't looked in the last probably 2 days.
I'm gonna look right now, actually. I pulled it up, but I don't know where it went. Federal polling for Canada 2025. I know that they must be panicking a little bit in in the conservative like platform, like, and it's I'm here for it. They're looking at Abacus has a committed vote intention at 39-36 in favor of the Conservatives, with a big dip in the NDP to 12%. And then, of course, you have Bloc and Green Party. Bloc seems to be polling higher than Green Party. Oh wait, sorry, they have NDP at 15 and PQ at 12. Liberals have gained noticeable ground in key regions, especially Ontario and British Columbia, and now enjoy a large lead in Quebec and Atlantic Canada. Meanwhile, the NDP is hitting its lowest support level since Jagmeet Singh became leader, pointing to a significant loss of momentum at precisely the moment of the campaign begins in earnest. Uh-oh. Looks like
Yeah.
Michael may have had a point.
Yeah.
You'll know.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I still think that they should form a coalition, to be
I
honest,
think
once
that
and for all.
it is very obvious that
Oh, shit.
Canadians are not favoring Jagmeet, and I think that a lot of it has to do with his presentation. He is not a white male with a white
That was
hair
what
and
that's what
mustache.
I had originally stated, for all those people that were like, I am a big Jack Layton fan, but I just can't get behind Jagmeet Singh. And I'm like, well, why? And they can never point to any valid reason why they can't get
No, and
behind
that's
Jagmeet,
because what
right?
they want to say will come off as racist,
Yeah, the
right?
first,
Right.
I'm not racist, but
But
Yeah.
what's with his orange and pink hairdos all the time,
right?
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why can't he comb his beard,
I think
right?
I know. I think
But
Jagmeet should
no,
be a
I'm
little
very
bit more
serious.
aggressive.
These are the things that people are
Exactly.
looking at and
Yeah,
going, yeah, you know what? I just don't see him as a PM. Like, I just don't
yeah.
see it, right?
Well, I think it is true. Like he does have character, but it's not strong
I
enough.
love him, man.
Yeah.
I think the guy's a stand-up guy.
He's a
Yeah, he
smart
is.
guy. He's a
He
stand-up
is.
guy, but that doesn't matter anymore, right? I
Doesn't
mean,
seem
look
to.
who's running the US. The opposite
Yeah.
of that.
It blows my mind every day.
Yeah,
Every
me
single
too.
day I see that, and I'm like, I cannot believe this. I lived in the States, man. I was there, not like that, but like, I was in the States in the late '80s, I guess, early '90s, around that time. The turn of the decade. In the last century. But yeah, and I never got that vibe, that alienation vibe. Like. I got picked on a little bit for being Canadian, but like it was honest to God, it was in good fun. I was
Yeah,
on the
it's good
football
natured.
team. Yeah,
It's good natured.
they loved me.
Right,
They
yeah.
called me the crazy Canuck, and it was great. Like on the football field, and like whatever, just like any other kid's experience, there was ups and downs. But I never got that Canada sucks vibe, like ever. And I still don't from my relatives. It's just a shame that, you know,
Everywhere I've gone in the States, when they hear my voice, they ask me, where am I from? I say, I'm Canadian. And every single time that I have said that, I have had the same response. "Oh my God, you're Canadian? I have a friend who lived in Canada. Oh my God, you're Canadian. We met some Canadians last year on a vacation. They were awesome." Right? You don't hear fucking Canadians.
I know.
Yeah.
I'd never heard it. Like, and I've been to like Florida. And we were in South Carolina 2 years ago or last year. 2 years ago, I think. And like the instant we were there and people spoke with us, we got the Southern treatment. Like, and they
Yep.
busted out all the chops, and one of the best little holidays we had. To be fair, I had a really good time.
Listen to this. I was
Except
in Los
it's a dry
Angeles.
state. Like
I was in
there's
Los
no smoking.
Angeles, and
Yeah.
I'm on my way to the Tonight Show, right? So I think I've made a wrong turn. I'm not really sure. There's these two girls sitting in a sports car at the lights beside me. So I put down the window and went, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm actually looking for the Tonight Show." And this girl looks at me and goes, "Oh my fucking God, are you Canadian?" And I started laughing. I went, "Yes." And she goes, "Pull over, pull over. We'll take you to the Tonight Show. Pull over," right? So we ended up spending like the rest of our time being shown around Los Angeles by these two. And they were awesome, right? They were absolutely awesome. They actually lived on the street at that dead ends at the Hollywood sign.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I kind of always had like the notion to go down to see the Hollywood area, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I seen enough movies. I think I can skip it at this point and head down to Cuba. Like I think
Cuba.
I'd rather go
That's
to
a
Cuba.
communist country with a dictator. What? What? What
My
did you
friend,
say?
my friend's in Cuba right now, man, and he sent me some videos, and my other buddy just bought property in Costa Rica, and he's building a house, and he's showing videos of himself built, like having this house built, and I'm just like, that sounds pretty comfortable. I'd like to do that. If I could do that, please, that would be fine. But I have like obligations and family here, so I can't
Do you
just
think there's a lot
leave.
of people moving to Cuba, or?
Costa Rica has some expats, and I
Okay,
imagine Cuba would too.
Costa Rica is not Cuba.
No,
Nothing like Cuba.
no,
Let's get
no,
that out there.
no, but the
Costa
price.
Rica has a very well educated population.
Yeah, Cuba's got some pretty good things going for it too. I wouldn't say that they're uneducated. I
No,
just
but
say
they don't have a democracy at all. So come on.
I know that doesn't mean that they don't have an education, and I think that they have some
They
good
can
health
throw you in jail
institutions.
at their whim. You don't go to
Yeah,
Cuba.
yeah, we've heard that here too about them. My wife
I
doesn't
think
want
we
to
hear that
Well,
go.
about a
they can
lot
do
of
it
different
now in the
places, though.
US as well. So don't go to
Yeah.
the
Oh, we're
US.
not going to the U.S.
Oh,
Like
oh
that's the
no.
other thing. My wife's like, we don't even want to fly over the U.S. Yeah, it's the food shortages due to the trade, but it's also because the ongoing conflict in between Russia and Ukraine. So that's also an issue. I don't know, man. I think I heard like I read a bunch of little itty bitty stories about Cuba and what goes on there and how people live, and I like generally speaking, I don't think that they live with that many differences in their moral values as individuals, and like between us and them as individuals, like population wise,
No, they're
you know,
just
th-
humans.
they're just humans. They're focused on family. They're focused on trying to get food on the table, and they're focused on trying to navigate this like this world, right? Like this like insanity that this world is becoming, and the whole nature of existence, right? Like it's an
Hey, listen,
it's
the
a
average
thing.
human just wants a full belly at the end of the night and
Uh,
somewhere safe to sleep,
exactly, right? That's
right?
the basis of everyone. And I think that when we think about Cuba, and when we think about Cubans, and we think about the life inside that country, I think, ignoring the state of the government and focusing on the people that we can identify and align with brings us closer to some kind of understanding and being able to communicate, right? And I think we were looking at lifting those embargoes and having trade relations resume and stuff like that in the States. So hopefully that does move forward, and they aren't subjected to these embargoes that result in food shortages and stuff. Yeah.
Electricity.
Electricity is a big one, yeah.
And a
Hey,
car earlier than the 1980s.
yeah, they love those cars though, man. Like they're
So
stuck
do
in that
I,
era.
but like, come
They're
on,
stuck
oh
in
my
that
God.
era, right? Like, yeah. I think Anthony Bourdain went down to Cuba, and I think that was one of the episodes that endeared me. And I kind of relate Anthony Bourdain to like Ernest Hemingway and the kind of way they expressed themselves about the culture, through, you know, whatever, like, anecdotal stories or kind of allegories and stuff like that. And I think they kind of communicated the same sentiment about getting to learn about the people rather than the country, in order to build that relationship.
One of my psych courses was looking at happiness. And one of the things the professor brought in one day was pictures of these little African kids in a little tiny village with
Yeah,
absolutely nothing, no electricity, no nothing, and the biggest smiles you've ever seen in your life, right?
right.
These were genuinely happy people,
Yeah.
right? Genuinely happy people.
You say that about
None of the
children in the
trappings.
country too, though. Like when I grew up, I lived, I would come back from big cities, right? Because my dad was a diplomat and always stationed in capital cities of foreign countries. But when we came back to Canada, we would go to New Brunswick and we would stay with my mom's family, who were really like removed from the busy life of the city and lived kind of in the most remote areas, right? And you know that was a good way of grounding myself. I think I was privileged to having that. And the happiness that you saw, the parallels in the I really kicked in with the ADHD there. I just like cotton candy, like just gone. But the parallels between
Was it the
what
rabbit
you,
again?
no, it's cotton candy on the stove. I have a cotton candy cake on the stove. It's just like multiple layers of different colors, and I don't know why it caught my attention. But anyways, like the parallels, I think, with childhood and the naivete that goes along with it about the world outside your understanding is kind of what propels that happiness. It's like that ignorance is bliss sentiment. You don't know because your parents are protecting you from that they're sheltering you from that stress and that anxiety, right? Um, but like when you see adults in the same places, you can see kind of the same anxieties like you were talking about, food in the belly and a warm place to sleep. And there's still those same parallels, and the joys of life kind of dissipate as they become more burdened with those same kind of, weights of society, I guess.
I'm still thinking about the cotton candy cake you talked about. So,
Well, the point that he was getting to was that these children were happy with minimal, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
there's a lot of miserable North American kids with everything.
I was explaining. My wife and I were talking about that, and we went to, we went to that whole. He was sending into his room does no good, because he's got so much stuff in his room. But really, there's no electronic stimulation in his room, so it's great. You send him to his room, he kind of like calms down, refocuses, and kind of 10 minutes later, he's back to like, all right, I've had my moment. No, I'm not Micmac. Well, actually, there's a portion of my family that's removed that nobody talks about, and the speculation is because most of my family is pretty racist back home, back in New Brunswick. It is pretty contentious existence there for a long time between the two the two bordering cities. You know, there's the Listugush Nation on the one side of the Restigouche, and where I'm from is Campbellton, Tidehead area. So it's really, really small and really, really like tight knit communities that don't let anybody else in. It's a monoculture almost in Tidehead, you know, and it's this close to everybody having the same last name. So, um, you know, for what that's worth. Yeah, monocultures are terrible, and people are always like, "Oh, we need to protect ourselves more," you know, stuff like that. Um, but I like having diversity. But anyways, I love exploring that happiness topic. You know, and I think the more and more we burden ourselves with succumbing to the fears that are pushed on us from society, the fears of inadequacy and the fears of underperforming, or the fears of not having enough of the things to impress your neighbors or to make your children feel like they're quote unquote loved enough. I think those fears are pushed on us through this marketing society that we've kind of just allowed to permeate and pervasively impact our kind of day-to-day life, right? And it's become even more
Yeah.
Classism.
more detrimental in the since 2010 when everybody had that access to that kind of marketing in at their fingertips. There's food, but they need put out nearly as much as they used to. Yeah, I'm not sure about the agriculture sector in Cuba and why there's tremendous shortages, but I think it has a lot to do with like trying to trying to keep up and have an economy that is outside of Cuba. I'm not sure what it is. So.
Poor management.
Uh, yeah, I would. You know, there's definitely a component of like, um, you know, you called it a dictatorship, right? Like it's pretty
It
much.
is.
Well,
That's exactly what it is.
it's considered a dictatorship for sure, and the way they took over and all that stuff was through a revolution of the people, right? Like, and of course, only one person makes the rules.
Yeah, and his name's not Che Guevara, is it?
My sassy
Political
says they
science.
have eggs.
Political scientists characterize the political system of Cuba as a single-party authoritarian regime where political opposition is not permitted. There are elections in Cuba, but they are not considered democratic. According to the VDem democracy indices, Cuba is the second least democratic country in Latin America.
Only the second?
Well, shit, what's the first one?
Yeah.
Why would you leave me hanging, bro?
Probably El Salvador.
El Salvador. You mean the ones that's giving Trump permission to use the prisons for his not extradition, is
His gangs.
what's he calling his what do you call it when you kick people out of your country again? Drawing a blank.
Extradition?
No, is it not extradition? Because extradition's at the request of the other country. Deportations. Yeah, the deportations of people that are living in the United States. I don't know why I drew a blank on deportation, but like
Yeah, I
deportations
didn't
of
get there
people.
either, so don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
me either.
and and he's talking about, yeah, well, the idea was up here, not on the floor. So like, you know, like Trump is saying like, okay, well, we need a place to put these people that we're deporting while we wait trial. Like that woman from British Columbia was sent 11 days to two different institutions, one in California, then one in Arizona. She wasn't allowed to directly communicate with anyone. She had to use an app, and then that app would communicate with a lawyer that would then relay the message to her family or whomever. Or I think the family's lawyer, then that family's lawyer would communicate it to the family. She was detained for 11 days for requesting permission to amend her visa. She hadn't even entered the country, but she was detained as she was walking away from the border. and she was then moved to 2 detention centers within the United States. But there's a
She was
third
also she was also told that she was not a criminal. She was not
Yeah,
being charged with anything,
Yeah.
yeah,
and she had
that's
done
right.
nothing wrong.
Yeah.
That's right. And then the
And that's
next
why we're
moment she
sending
was
you to
swooped
jail.
away. Yeah, and the next moment she was swooped away. Um, and you hear people making excuses for it. I swear to God, people are making excuses for it. They say that she broke the law by trying to enter the United States when she was really just asking permission to enter the United States.
She was doing what she was supposed to have done as far as what she was told, and she didn't do anything illegal.
Her visa was rejected because of the position on the company she worked for was had invested in hemp, not MJ, but hemp.
Right.
Um, and the federal government rejected her visa based on that. So she had left and then tried to re-enter, but not tried like by hopping a fence and running through at the border. She's like, "Hey, listen, this is what happened. I'd like to appeal it." And then they yoinked her and they took her away. But they have another facility, a third one, which they're renting from El Salvador, and it's an old prison facility that they're converting into a detention center while people await um, their due process. And I think the woman from Canada said that they were there for there was a girl there or a group of 3 women who were related. I don't know if they were kids, but they were there for 11 months without trial. Right? Uh, it's in El Salvador somewhere. I don't know which one, but it's a cooperative thing where they're trying to you know suppress a specific subset of society, which happens to be, uh, probably the poorest and most vulnerable, um, and one of the backbones of our labor market, because of capitalism and exploitations, but stuff that we've built our economy around. So we're turning our back on the people that we used to build the 2 countries, because doing nothing is somewhat complicit as well. So I think we should be offering shelter to some of these people who are displaced because of these, egregious contradictions of civil liberties.
Hmm.
If we can get them up here working, put them in houses, get them mobilized.
Yeah.
I think that does great for Canada as a whole. And my wife's like, there's no freaking way we're even touching down the United States for a layover on any of our vacations. So, I think avoiding the United States at all costs is pretty important right now.
Friends of ours have to go down for the NHL draft. Their grandson's in the first round draft.
Oh, right
And
on.
yeah,
So,
and it's not the happy time that it's supposed to be, right?
yeah.
It's like they're worried. It's like, uh, yeah,
Yeah.
they're concerned about going.
My wife won't even let us go. I have family in the United States. I've never visited them, but they're still a family that I see from time to time we have like a joint vacation destination, South Carolina, where we kind of come together. Hey, what's up, Joe? We come together as a family, as an extended family, and we do waves. So like every year we spend time with different parts of the family, kind of thing. Hey, what's new? I haven't seen you in years, type thing. And it's in South Carolina, so we've suspended that now. They're Americans, so they still go, but we're not going. None of our family is going. It kind of
I'm
sucks.
sure they understand.
Yeah, well, two of them are Trump humpers, pretty hard.
Mm. Yeah.
One of them doesn't vote because he's a felon.
So him you get along with.
I do. I do. I get. I really do. Hi, sunshine. What's this? What is this? Is that a gun?
It's a turret.
Oh, it's a turret. Okay. Good stuff. Sure. Thank you. What are you doing? I knew you were going to come down and try to get dessert 8 o'clock at night. You're wired. I got to tell your mom. No, I'm not, he says. 1 in 37 people in the United States have been incarcerated. Whew.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Whew.
Really?
Go to the second. I called you. I can't believe we're living through idiocracy. Hey, bro. I get it. I love you too. Good night. It's not good night yet. He just wanted to see the.
Is he taking that cake to bed with him?
Oh no, he wouldn't even test that water. He grabbed saltines. He doesn't like gummies. He doesn't really like super sweet candies and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah,
I like
it's
it all.
He's a salt kid.
not even. He's not a big well, he's not a big eater overall, actually. He only eats because he has to be fair.
Well, Renee actually doesn't really like sweet. She likes salt.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't care for salt. I like sweet.
I got a super sweet tooth, man. Like I'm eating junk food every day. Every day I have like chocolate, like at least almost a chocolate bar every day.
I'm in
And
trouble because
did
I like all
anybody
of it.
Like
come
cookies.
out with, well, you're hiding that well? Did I hear that just as under their breath? You're hiding that well?
The chocolates?
Yeah.
Well, Mrs. Happy has to hide the chocolate.
She definitely does.
Yeah.
I will find it because it's mine.
I like
Oh,
the sleeves of Aero bars and Kit Kats myself.
oh yeah. Yeah, I don't eat Nestle, but Arrow was up there. But I switched over. I think Mirage was pretty good. I'm not sure if it's
Oh,
if
I like
it's
Mirage.
Nestle.
He switched over.
Yeah,
I've patched over to Mirage chocolates, man.
to be fair, I tried to avoid Nestle as best as possible. So I use that scanning app and like certain things, but like obviously Arrow's Nestle, um, but like yeah, I don't know. I had to switch over.
I'm the same way, but we were donated a whole bunch of boxes of Nestle chocolate bars for the in-house, so I can say no.
Giddy up.
Yep, it's donated. I'm taking it.
As long as you don't have to, as long as you're not paying for it,
That's right.
Our PC store has been selling off the jumbo dark chocolate with. Yeah, I'm not a fan of dark chocolate. I think it's a lie. It's not really good.
It's bitter.
It's bitter. I'm not a fan.
Though there's something that's in dark chocolate that's good for you, though, especially diabetics.
Oops, I think I came up in the wrong live. I think this is the candy chocolate live, which I
No.
need to stay away from. But thank
Don't
you.
worry. Happy will make sure that you don't get access.
Yeah, we were talking about liberal, conservative versus NDP platforms. We also deviated a couple of times, and we spoke about the naivete of ignorance and the blissful
Well,
joys
then,
of happiness.
may I stay then?
Oh, for
Because
sure. I was kind of waiting for you to say something, just kind of really being
no,
polite about it.
yeah. Well,
Typical Canadians.
I'm American. You're so goddamn
You're
polite.
you're American?
I'm an asshole
Ah.
American, except I'm not an asshole.
No,
Because an asshole would have said, fuck this candy talk. This is what I gotta tell you. That's a maggot would roll you that way.
well,
But
that's sweet.
I was being polite as I could be. But I follow at least 5 what I think to be very interesting Canadian lives, and you're one of them. And I know I'm buttering, but I'm really not buttering because And I'm a little bit of an older gal, so I don't have a whole lot of time to mess with, waste of time. So,
Well, you're about in the
therefore,
same age category as all of us, I think, here in the
yeah.
panel.
And
Anyway,
what are you in your 40s?
yeah, I'm just about to leave them.
I left them.
Yeah, we're sailing that sea this year.
I
So.
remember my 40s.
I
Uh,
I forget them, so
I'll reminisce with you, love. I will. But anyway, the long and the short of it, the reason I popped up is to give my props to Mr. Politics here and to quite a few of the Canadians that are feeling sorry for us normals down here. You guys are, what do they say? You guys are the apartment above the meth lab, and
Oh
I'm in the
my
meth
sweet
lab.
baby
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well,
Who says
it's a
that?
fact, dude.
That's
It's a
No, I've
fucking
heard that.
fact.
that's the first time I've ever heard that, and I
You
almost
never
choked.
heard that? Oh, I've
No.
Yeah,
been
I've heard
hearing
that.
that for like 3 years now. I'm
Yeah.
ashamed. Jesus.
Don't be ashamed. No.
So I
We
take it you
know.
did not vote for him.
Hell fucking no. I'm from New Jersey. We we know who that scumbag has been since
Oh
the
right, eh?
70s. Anyway, the reason I'm trying, listen, I just finished my second full viewing. Now, I'm not going to get cuckoo crazy on Handmaid's Tale, but here's what I saw that, again, but that it really sank in, because you have to remember, first time it came out was like what, 16, 17-ish? And the last episode was in 22, and their last and finale season begins on April 8th. Okay, a lot of it's shot in Toronto-ish, North America, southern Canada. Anyway, here's what blew my mind. Even though I was so hopeful back when I watched it the first time, when all of the people that fled as refugees to Canada from Gilead, you guys had open arms until you got sick and tired of us. And I get it. There's so many things that I can relate it to, American wise, and this and that, but I'm only speaking American to Canadian, okay? These refugees were bringing grief on and economic dependence on your Canadian economy. Now, the further it unhinged Trump gets, and the crazier the tariffs get, okay, are you following me? The
Mm.
more you guys, we've loved you forever. You just saw what Boston did for you guys. We lined the entire street, the blocks and blocks with maple leaves. Like, we love you. You're our brothers and sisters. Trump is a lunatic. And everybody says, well, I'll just move to Canada. No, you won't. When will Canada get sick and tired of us? And what if some of the Trumpy dumpies slip through and then they start going to Alberta and getting their little contingencies going? The
Mm-hmm.
call, I know my words are not slurring, but like running together because my throat is so tight. I'm being honest with you. I'm about to cry. My throat is so tight, and I'm so upset
Well, we're gonna get
because
through this. Don't worry.
we
We got it.
are dumping on you guys, and you don't deserve it.
Hey,
I'll be
we're
quiet for a second. Thanks for
you're
letting me go.
I appreciate the sentiment, and it warms the heart to know that there are groups in the United States who share the same um, sentiment about these tariffs and the alienation it's creating. Um, but understand that we know that you're there. We're with you too, and we'll get through this together. Um, and we just mitigate. You know, we duck and dodge, and we'll be all
Yeah,
right.
we love our American friends.
Oh, I love you
It's the
guys
mega
too.
hats that we were after, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
yeah,
We got some of those up here. I'll tell you
yeah,
what.
we
I
do.
know that's what that it's a cancer that spreads, dude. Like I don't know if you have other provinces, but the one that they keep relating to us Americans down in the meth lab is that Alberta is the Canada of the world.
The Alberta of
What the hell is
Canada.
wrong with those assholes over in
The
Alberta?
Yeah, the
What
Not
the
all
Alberta
hell?
Albertans.
Alberta is commonly called the Alabama of Canada.
No, thank you. So is it their PM? Like somebody help me out here.
Premier. Well,
It's their
it's
premier.
oil country,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
it's cowboy country up here too, right? So, you know, they have it's heavily subsidized by the government, and they resent that. Yet they still take the money. It's complicated, to
No,
be
but
fair.
I can sum it up for you.
Oh,
thank you.
please
It
do.
is a combination of low IQ and low EQ.
Oh my God, Michael.
EQ.
Bingo. Bingo. I'm taking it. I'm right. I just wrote it down.
Good.
What is EQ? I'm sorry.
Emotional quotient.
Emotional
Oh,
quotient. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would
Now,
just like to point out, like some of the people in the comments, it's not all Albertans. There are a lot of Albertans that
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
don't like
Uh,
what is
yeah.
happening in Alberta.
Mostly
Yeah.
in the big cities.
Thank
Uh,
Yeah.
you. Thank you
yeah,
for pointing that out. I
like
know I
Dallas in
just
Texas, or what's the other one? And what's the other city in Texas that's pretty leftish?
Austin.
Austin.
Austin
Yeah,
big time.
Austin. Yeah.
Hey,
See,
by the way,
I
I just
really
want to
wanted to
point out
visit
something real
Texas.
quick. Um,
Sorry,
I actually,
Alberta.
I actually did time in Fort Mac, which is the oil patch. So I lived that for a little while.
I
So I
did
know what I'm
time.
talking about.
Michael, can you tell me what you mean oil patch? What part of the country? Canada or
Yeah,
That's
uh,
northern
Alberta.
Northern
Alberta.
Alberta.
oh, okay. So you were with those people and got the vibe, right?
Well, I
No,
didn't
oil
call them
patch is
those people.
Athabascan, isn't it?
Well, what most Americans don't realize, and what most Canadians don't want to admit, is most Albertans are from elsewhere. 75% of the adults in Alberta were born in another province in Canada.
Really
Or country.
Yeah, I think our
interesting.
country is based around that kind of migration, though, and that's why we kind of rely a lot on immigration as well, is because we have a lot of room to grow. And I think you know, you may have a point there, but also, you know, that's the intention. We want people to leave the big cities, and we want people who are born into places like Toronto and Scarborough to kind of, you know, leave that area and go and try and
Well,
expand elsewhere, right? That's a whole
but it's not the
plan.
people from those areas. I find that, at least in my own personal experience being out there for a number of years, most of the people I met were from the Maritimes.
Yeah. Well, the
But it's
Maritimes, there's a diaspora right now in New Brunswick that's really crippling the economy down there. Like nobody that grows up there wants to stay there, yet they'll come back and retire, right? Like
Well,
so
mostly Newfies up in Fort Mac.
I
well,
heard that too, actually.
I just
I
refer to the
have.
province as a whole because when I was out there, I worked on a horse ranch. I was up in the oil fields for a little bit before it collapsed. What, back in 2014, I think, is when I started working at the horse ranch. But there was 40 employees on the horse ranch. There was only 3 people out of those 40 that were actually born in Alberta.
Hmm.
But it's just what I mean. Part of why I say that is I find that Albertans have a little bit of an arrogance about them, that they kind of have this entitled superiority complex. And it's hilarious to me that they're not even Albertans technically. So it's like, dude, it's like you're a Newfie or you're from Ontario or you're from Manitoba. It's like, why are you acting so uppity
They
about being Albertan?
they
Wow,
always feel like they're
you sound
paying
like
more
someone
too,
who didn't
right?
spend thousands of dollars on tall tires.
On what tire? Sorry.
Okay, just for the record,
It's a thing out there.
That's hilarious that you say that because I'm actually kind of well all over the place. Like I was born and raised about 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers north of Kingston in what I would call hillbilly country in the 80s.
Now it's called Ottawa. Butters.
Actually, if you actually know Eastern Ontario at all, I grew up just right by Highway 7 near a small town called Charlotte Lake, which is about 25
Oh, I
kilometers.
know Charlotte Lake.
Okay, well, I grew up in a small town called Parham, about 15 kilometers south of Charlotte Lake.
Nice. That's
But
beautiful
I got my
area.
oh yeah, gorgeous. I wouldn't move back up there, but I love going up there for vacations and cottage stuff like that. But no, one of the things that I found hilarious though is that just the dynamic though of the people I grew up with and the people that I would meet out there. But I got my first cat from the gay couple down the hall from one of my friends when I was a kid. So I was raised hillbilly, but I had lots of exposure to far left ideology growing up. So I'm like fiscally conservative.
People always say that
Progressive
shit.
person. Like
fiscally responsible, like
well,
conservative. Like I don't even understand how that.
well,
how
I'm a progressive. I consider myself progressive, but I also consider myself frugal and a bit of a cheap ass. So that's why I say that I'm progressive socially and fiscally conservative, because I was raised to pinch pennies. I was raised on welfare. So
who's the epitome of progressive conservative leadership in Canada's prime ministerial history? I don't know why I slurred that, but whatever.
That's okay. I actually need you to tell me that, because
Well, I would think that, Prime Minister Harper probably stands out as the most recent and most kind of like domineering, prime minister, from the progressive conservatives, and I would wager that he didn't do anything beneficial for the economy.
Okay, you were using the word progressive conservative, and I actually thought you meant progressive, not just
The party.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. No, I understand what you're saying,
Wrong
Frank.
definition.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I get
No,
you.
I get you too now. Sorry about that.
No worries, man. No worries. This is like only the second time I think I've ever actually talked to you, so not an issue, bro.
May I ask a question? I'm sorry. I thought Frank,
sorry, I realized what my name says on there. My name actually is Frank. It should be Frank the Tank, but I just realized what it says.
Dude, I totally read it as Frank the Tank.
All right.
No
I'm apologizing.
I totally read it as Frank the Tank.
I like
man.
Frank the Tank. I do. You better put that right. But
yeah, I'll fix that up for you. But yeah, go ahead, ask any questions.
yeah, and this is to all our little, not little,
Princess, how are you?
Canada is way bigger than us.
We get what you're trying to say. Don't worry about offending us. Unless you're talking about invading our country, I don't think you could possibly offend.
Oh fucking hell! I'd come over
or
and fight.
Or I don't know. If you talked about Gretzky a little bit, I think we
Oh,
kind
no.
of we're on the
I
line
never-
about Gretzky right now.
I've
We're
never
kinda
had a
tiptoeing
beef.
to Gretzky.
Never had a beef. But here's my question, and I am dying because one of the girls I went to grammar school with was married to an American dude, and he passed away in his late 20s, early 30s. And then she hooked up with a Canadian dude, and then they married, and she's a Canadian woman now, living up there, and loves it. And I communicate with her all the time. But that's an aside. Here's the question. And she'll never rag on Justin Trudeau or Pierre Trudeau. I need somebody that has a fair mind to tell me, what should Americans really, really understand about Justin Trudeau? Even though he's gone last Sunday, we know. But what was the fucking beef about Justin Trudeau? Like a Nepo baby or what?
You want to take this one, man?
Happy's the most unbiased person you're going to talk to about justice. So we'll let him
Me?
go.
Okay, I'm all ears. I'm
Yeah.
gonna mute. I'm all ears.
And if
No, I don't have a
miss
lot to
something,
say
we'll
about this.
catch up.
I think the main thing that we have to understand and accept about this kind of moment in time is that it's really the first time that the pervasive of nature of the internet has really come to light, where people get this avalanche of disinformation or information, if you wanted to call it that, or all of these all of these
Lies.
techniques of besmirching and attacking somebody's character completely, like, nonstop for years and years and years, and we never took into account the impact that that would have on society as a whole. And I think he was probably the first victim of that we can really look to. I'm sure if we delved into it, we could see similarities in Europe, but the main point is that it was an engineered hate through propaganda. And really, what he did for Canadians is not, you know, he, he did a lot of good things for Canada and ignored a lot of the propaganda, and I think that was to his detriment. And he should have been more proactive in combating that kind of misinformation. But it's generally around that, and of course, the anti-liberal woke movement is the other major component that was like
That's what I
an
was going to say.
exacerbating factor as well.
Do we
Ollie.
consider the woke movement, though, a liberal thing, or do we consider it more of an NDP thing that washed over on the liberals?
For
Well,
me, when
it's
I think
everybody
of
but
woke,
conservative.
well, for me, I think woke, I think back of the origins of the word and where it comes from. And I think that has a lot to do with how I interpret what people are saying when they're really talking about how they live. So for me, woke means something different than what the propaganda engine is trying to define it as,
You look at it back in the original, like when it was the black people that created the woke movement like 30 years ago or whatever, like the original woke movement or the modern.
Well, it also expanded beyond that. So it was Black Panther, right? And it was
Yeah.
initiated through the civil rights movement, and like when you read up on it, because I had to read up on it, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the meaning of it. So I had to look at where it comes from and stuff like that.
So Beav, are you telling me that Canadians applied the word woke or wokeism to fucking Justin Trudeau?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they literally said he was our woke ambassador, pretty much.
Oh
Like,
my God,
yeah.
that's so
And
messed up.
Well,
That
this
is
was also
so
exacerbated as soon as Melania looked at Justin
propaganda
like he gave
killed
milk,
us.
right? And as soon as that came out, the dirty old man husband got very jealous, and he ramped it up.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what I'm talking about is that,
Oh,
they're defining things before people have an understanding of what they are as negative things, and we're looking at them as, no, they're societal necessities. Like, we can't ignore these things. These are glaring holes in equality and equity that we need to address, and it doesn't matter other than that, right? Like, because truth and reconciliation is paramount at this point in Canada as well, especially with the discovery and the identification of the remains in the last 2 days of Mercedes and Morgan, right? Morgan
I don't know
Harris,
who
Mercedes
Mercedes
Myron.
and Morgan are.
Yeah, so there are two young ladies that were, victims of a serial unaliver up here, and their
Okay.
remains were kind of,
Thank you.
disposed of unceremoniously, and it's been a point of contention in Canada as to search for those remains in a publicly owned landfill. And so there's been a lot of back and forth, and we had a conservative government in that province who was railroading it.
Jesus Christ.
And now we've been able to identify them and properly, ceremoniously lay or
Because they were Indigenous women, and that's why
Yeah,
they weren't.
that's that. I kind of knew that. Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
As,
exactly.
as somebody who is like 30% native, even though I look as white as can be, that stuff is quite disturbing because I love being Canadian, even though my one ancestor raped, pillaged, and murdered and stole from my others.
Right.
Yeah, it's just messed up.
Very complex there, dude.
Oh yeah, that's why I say it's like people have a hard time with my head. I'm like, you do not want to, that movie, In and Out or whatever, the one about the girl, the cartoon with all the emotions in her head. You
No.
don't want to ever see that of me.
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel the same way because a lot of people don't understand that many people in the world are going through similar cerebral battles. Like a lot of us are combating demons that will never let people understand, or we're recovering from things that you'll never understand either. And those demons, haunt everybody equally. And so when people say that, like, oh, you can never understand what's going in my head, you're putting up a roadblock, in my opinion, of communication, because a lot of us are going through the same things.
Mm.
And if you just reach out, you'll probably find someone who can relate with you, and you can work through these kinds of issues.
So,
So
What's
I
up,
just want to say
Dulcie?
my just
sorry.
quickly, it was my view on the wokeism. I do believe that Liberals, NDP, Green Party, we're all very much about caring for one another. We are about human rights. We're about everyone. Whereas I feel that the Conservative Party is more about themselves.
Same. You're right, and it should be. Jesus Christ,
Well,
you.
and the worst thing, guys, ladies, is that most right wingers, like most conservatives, consider themselves Christians. Well, how can
Yes.
you how
I
can you
know,
be Christian? How
isn't
can you be
that a
Christian?
killer?
Like
That's a
that's
killer.
like I don't consider myself Christian. I was raised in a Christian community. My mom literally pawned me off on the neighbors to take me to church and Sunday school. Oh yeah, she would. I had two neighbors. One went to an Anglican. One went to a Free Methodist. I never knew which one was picking me up for church and Sunday school on a given week. I just knew that I had to be ready for them to pick me up.
Hair combed, out, Sunday outfit on, off you go.
Yep. Well, my Sunday outfit was okay. There's no dirt stains. Oh yeah, when I
Oh
took
my
the
God!
oh yeah,
Don't get crazy now.
my dad passed away just before my 6th birthday, and so it was just mom and my three older brothers and I living in hillbilly country. So
Oh.
not exactly money. Hey, I'm quite happy though, and this is another reason why I love a properly designed welfare system, because I got a decent childhood because my mother had her college education paid for by what they called mother's allowance back in the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to take that back to our little fucked up 50 states. But do go on.
Oh,
I only came up to shit on Happy for a minute.
yeah,
So
come on up.
I've
Go
recently
ahead,
been
man.
accused of being more of a liberal shill than you, and I was deeply offended. So Happy, like, you better start, like, do better, bro. Like, I don't want to hear this shit anymore. You're ruining my fucking reputation, and like, I'm not gonna have. So yeah, that's it. That's all I came up.
Sorry, I don't know why somebody comes up to do work. No problem, dude. I got you beat every day on the liberals front.
Yeah, well, this whole liberal shill thing, especially
Just
like
tell, just
stating
tell
I'm
people
worse
I
than you.
just tell people I had a personal invitation to the Mark Carney after party with a +1.
Did you
And,
go?
of course I did. Of
Okay.
course I did. I was at the.
Oh, you
I
gotta
was at the.
broadcast this shit
I
more,
was,
man.
dude. My phone died, and I didn't have my portable battery. And I thought I had my portable battery.
Yeah, do
I
better.
was
As I
like,
say, we expect more from you, especially right
yeah,
now.
it was like 5 feet from Freeland, and Karina Gold stood in front of me, like right in front of me for like the whole convention, and yeah, she was one of the loudest supporters of Mr. Carney when he took over. And the Carney served. I got she gave out invites too to her after party as well. I didn't get one to Freeland or Blayless.
Well, I'd be
Yeah,
embarrassed to be in the same room as Freeland, but the whole current.
they served, it was open bar, and non-alcoholic, alcoholic, plus
Is Freeland really
cheeseburgers.
the lush everyone thinks she is?
Um, I don't know.
Kind of.
Gonna
I don't
say
know.
yes.
I'd say she's. If I were to describe her, that probably wouldn't be one of the words I would use.
Hmm.
I don't know that for sure. And
Having
then,
with like
he served bacon cheeseburgers, and he had a vegan option as well. Bacon cheeseburgers, poutine, and beaver tails. As
So
Okay,
what
I
you're
like.
saying is we
so
can buy
that's a
your
perfect
vote with
meal.
good food? Is that what I'm hearing?
It
Packy's available.
takes a little more than good food. It takes a good plan, it takes a good plan, and it takes a good handshake,
Well, are you liking what he's saying so far?
Not everything.
Well, obviously, no
You know,
politician's gonna.
one
Are
of
we
the
over
ma-
the 50% threshold though?
yeah, like I think a lot of the things that he's saying I agree with, but I think capitulating to like the populism is a mistake. I don't appreciate giving up on the carbon tax. I think it's a shame that it got the negative attention that it did. It was working as intended, and it was benefiting Canadians, and we were looking at coming out at the forefront of green technology and green, uh,
Love you, love you.
sustainable stuff, right? And the people
Awesome.
weren't the population weren't the ones footing the bill for that, and I think
But
that's what
once
it was.
again,
But, I
Dunsey.
had a problem with that. I have a problem with cutting the carbon tax for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this is another one of those misunderstandings that people in Canada, because Junzi was asking, this is another one of those times where people did not understand what the carbon tax and how it worked, and because we're trying to push the countries we do business with to have their own carbon tax,
So I have
so
a
that we
theory
can
that
sell more green technology to them.
it
At
wasn't
least that's how I interpret that.
Yeah, for me, I think a lot of the problem wasn't necessarily about the tax. It was about paying a tax while being encumbered with a lot of the strains of society, right? Like, things are more expensive, things are harder, and people want us to address that more publicly. And I think, when the carbon tax is the flagship, right, the cornerstone of the platform, I think people feel left out because it doesn't address the dinner table topics that they were so worried about for so long. And it's kind of tone deaf, right? So like I think if it was something that we kind of just like, it's there, we don't really advertise too much about it and talk too much about it, and we don't allowed it as some kind of saving grace to the world. I think it turns out differently, and it's not really focused on, but we
So
are where
Beaver,
we are.
I'm sorry. I jumped in.
Yeah, all good.
We'll be quiet until you're done.
No,
But
no, you're good.
this is what where we need to go back in the way back machine, okay? Which isn't that long ago. And our asshole president, Bubba, okay, 1990s Bubba, he did the NAFTA shit.
Oh, you go right back to 1988. George Sr. and Brian Mulrooney.
Go ahead. What?
No, you go ahead, love. I'm just telling you exactly. Brian Mulrooney and friggin' George Bush Sr. or
Man, I
whatever.
just read out some really messed up stuff that Brian Mulrooney was doing just for the sake of getting Expo 86, some space, the evictions, and a lot of pretty
Oh man,
unethical behaviors, right? Like,
and it exactly just what he said, and I just let me get it out, and then we can roll, okay? So NAFTA, which I wasn't happy with, a fuck ton of us weren't happy with, but Trumpy Dump came in and said, I got a better choice. The USMCA. Okay? What I understood as an American, and my best friend from grammar school as a Canadian, we understood that this was the way they sold this shit to us back when Trump was in the first time, was that Canada, USA, and Mexico had free trade. And it was very, I don't know how many pages it was, but it was very explicit about, and not explicit, specific about that we were just going to free trade. And then this jack off comes up 4 or 5 months ago and says, now we're tariffing these in the north. He broke the goddamn contract, in my estimation.
that he signed.
Tell me I'm wrong.
But the thing is, one thing, and then Happy, it's all yours, man. Free trade agreement between Canada, the United States, and Mexico never allowed for true free trade. What it was is that we agreed on tariffs that we would put on each other, specifically.
Quotas, right? Quotas.
You know what I mean?
So
like,
a lot of the tariffs that went into place were because we were protecting certain industries, and the tariffs were on imports over and above the allotted amount.
Exactly. Like the milk thing is one that I always think of with Canada and the U.S. because it's the easiest one to describe to people.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring in any American milk.
No,
Zero.
But we didn't want to fight them on other things during our free trade agreements. So it's like, okay, we'll let you have this much. But yeah, and be honest with you, I don't like letting any of their food products across the border because it's not safe compared to ours.
No,
our
shit is shite.
Yeah, but the fresh stuff isn't, right? Like, so like it depends on what you're eating, obviously, what your diet and your obviously your position in life. Like if you can afford to buy fresh and have it cooked for you, then obviously you're not in the same kind of situation as somebody who's buying stuff that's heavily laden with preservatives and which is causing the damage that you're talking about, or the food coloring and stuff like that.
Yeah, you knew I meant the processed stuff, not the fresh veggies.
Yeah.
Well, with the cuts, you're not going to have a clue what is in anything.
Exactly. In the States, you mean? Like with the cuts to the FDA?
Yeah, you're just not going to have any idea what's in anything.
Yeah, you're going to have a choice to buy it or not. That's the thing.
That's why I'm glad that we're going to start getting more of our processed foods from Europe.
Yeah.
Hopefully, anyways, the deal with Italy's supposed to go through, whether it does or not.
Well, I think it's inevitable that we start getting more stuff, like perishable stuff from.
We have higher food standards than a lot of European countries as well.
I think like right now we have an opportunity to kind of like tie in relationships with Mexico as well, where we can kind of galvanize that relationship through expanded trade. It'll never be like the same as the United States, but
listen, man, you're right. And it hasn't happened yet, but it's about to happen. With this Trump isolationism and pissing off all our allies, and I'm so upset, man. I have an Irish citizenship. I have my Irish passport.
Irish?
Yeah, I'm Irish.
That means you're part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, and
you can move to Canada.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, you're already a member of the Commonwealth.
You have to be a member of the Commonwealth.
I thought I was just an EU member. Are you an EU?
No.
Not yet.
No, but we're
I
part
don't
of the
even know.
Commonwealth, though.
We're not part of the EU as a country,
I
but
didn't think
we're trying to negotiate that because of the island that attaches us to Denmark. We're saying that
Okay.
we can join the EU, and they're making an excuse for it.
Well,
My eyes aren't closed. It's because my camera is up here,
Up
and
here.
I'm
Oh,
looking down at
okay.
everything
Uh-huh.
down here.
But
So
the thing
I'm reading things, and the camera's up here. So if I look up here, like you can see, my eyes are wide open,
You
right?
know,
Like,
Right.
that's not as easy as you might think. My
Okay.
mom came from Belfast, and
Yeah. Yeah.
she married my dad, a Canadian. We have
yeah,
had over the years, we've had several times relatives that wanted to come here, but they didn't have the right skills because they were doctors. I know that makes no sense, but there you
oh,
go.
it doesn't.
pretty much anybody that wants to come to Canada, I kind of have a loophole. All you need to do is have $10,000 to buy one share of my company.
of my company.
Come on,
No, I
man.
know this for a fact. I can
I
actually
love it.
sell one share of my company, or like create a division of my company. And if a person wants to invest, they can actually locate
That's
here.
that's the way that the banking system allowed for credit cards, American credit card companies to infiltrate. They allowed them to work through companies like the Bay and Sears, and so the Bay and Sears would have the Sears card, but it would be funded by American credit card companies, and that's how they got into our market in the first place.
I
Well,
just want to say, I think Frank's comment there just took me back to I have some swampland in Florida I'd like to sell you.
Well, the reason I said that though is I'm actually doing renovations for a couple of East Indian families that they've been here for like 20 years or whatnot. But we were actually talking about the system and the way it works, and they're like, yeah, you could actually, what I just said, you can actually do that for people overseas if they want to be able to relocate here. They can pretty much invest in your company, become a part owner of the company, and actually be able to relocate here and start the process to become a permanent citizen or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's minimal investments as well that is actually that puts a lot of people out of the running.
Yeah,
Right.
like I don't know the whole system behind it. I just know
Yeah.
it's something that it's
Well,
a way.
the best way for somebody within the Commonwealth is to apply early, then find a job that
Yeah.
they're qualified for, and once they get that job, they can come as as not a permanent resident, but whatever, and then you can
Yeah,
apply for
Abby.
permanent.
The work
You know,
visa.
you can just give the Donald $5 million and he'll let you in.
Yeah, and he'll
Yeah.
let all the cartel assholes and all the
Yeah.
Oh my
Russian
God!
But
Yeah, I'm
guys.
thinking about
I
who has
Think about who has 5 million, dude.
you
Well,
know
that
that
what?
wants
Howard
It ain't
that wants to
I
run.
me.
propose I
I'm
Howard
propose a
was
thinking.
on the
deal.
other day going on
I'm
about,
thinking
hey, if I didn't live
Belarus.
in the U.S., I'd buy
I
6 of these, right?
I'm like
I
Like,
Belarus. I'm
can you
thinking
do the math, Howard?
Russia.
That's $30 million.
That's the
Mm.
Like, are
whoever's
you
got a
really
little
thinking that
extra dough.
everyone
The
outside
Tate
of the
brothers.
U.S. is
Oh my
dropping
God,
$30
the
million?
Tates.
That's insane. It's
yeah, the
insane.
Tate brothers are enough.
Elon Musk's little asshole buddies.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm
but
I
thinking
do
Russian
have
oligarchs.
if we
I'm
keep
thinking
boycotting Peninsula,
Chechens.
though, Elon will be so broke he won't even be able to keep his own citizenship.
He's never going to be broke. They just signed a contract with SpaceX for like that. Like over the course of the contract, will end up funneling hundreds of billions of dollars into SpaceX.
So,
Over
Junzi,
can
you're
I
which
also an
which
American,
he
right?
Yes,
owns.
sir.
Um,
Somebody called my name out. Who was
yeah,
it?
that was Tank. Like it baffles me as a Canadian how it is that Americans have no problem. At least I'm saying when I say Americans, I mean a certain percentage that don't seem to have a problem
Yeah,
funneling the money from NASA into Elon's pocket.
I
I'm like,
know.
like
You want
15
to
years.
know why?
Yes.
Honest to God. And I'm a retired educator and uh, a Russian history major and authoritarianism
The
major.
Bolshevik Revolution.
All of it,
You should
every
explain that to people a
fucking bit
lot.
of it.
Hey, do you
Okay,
get to teach that?
oh
Do you know who
I did teach
Ilya?
it.
Do you know who Ilya
oh wow.
Petrovsky Skavar is?
Mm-hmm.
You should talk about him.
Yep. To answer Mr. Tank, the answer is, and I told you in the beginning, I'm an older woman, and I've watched the dumbing down of America. most of our citizens, not me or mine, they only can read and comprehend at a 5th grade level.
Oh no.
And many of them are involved in evangelical religion. Now, I don't know if you have that movement up there in
Oh,
You
we
your
know,
do.
we
little
actually
leaf.
know a lot about that in the southern U.S. It's been a constant joke for 40 years here. Honest, it
Oh,
has. So
Yeah.
we know.
it's
We
a
know.
curse now.
Yeah, devil can
Carney.
out.
It's a cancer now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's here too,
Dear
unfortunately.
God,
Just not
please
as bad.
Not
crush
as
it.
Not as
predominant.
bad.
No.
Crush
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
Cause it'll destroy you.
Oh,
And
it has
that's
already.
where we are. And
Who's the
that's
guy
Here's
with the
why.
evil smile and all the planes and watches? What's that guy's name? He's a nut job. He's an
Rubio.
evangelical in the South.
Oh,
Which
the
one?
pastor.
Be
This
more
guy
specific.
looks
I know
psychotic.
them all.
He looks psychotic. And when he smiles at you, it looks like he wants to chew on you. He's
Uh,
just nuts.
God.
the one that gets them to
Joel
keep
Osteen.
buying jets for him.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joel
He's
Osteen.
Holstein.
Yeah, somebody
now
posted in the comments.
it's
Yeah.
Joel Osteen's younger.
Joel
This
Osteen.
guy's older. This
Mm.
man's asking about the older guy. I'll send you a picture because I followed all of you on here.
Well, I'll tell you something. Whenever I have seen that man, the only thing that I can think is that is an absolutely psychotic face. How are these people not aware of this? Like,
Because people
you
like
gotta be
flashy
kidding
things.
me. Just gotta be kidding me.
Can
Well,
I
I
chime
really
in here
like
for a
that,
minute?
that picture that you put on before this thing. That was really cute.
Your beaver one.
Yeah,
Everyone.
the
that
end
was,
of the answer
yeah,
is
that one
this.
there. That was awesome.
I know I've been taking up a lot of your time, and I don't want to do it. I just want to finish up with
Actually,
the
we really
last
want to hear
man.
from Americans. So, like, I really want,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
one of the
hang with
things we want to do
Uh,
is like expand our
yeah.
circle
Yeah.
to include Americans so
Of
that we
course.
can both,
Listen,
right? Like,
we might go to war together,
nah, we're
but
not going
not
to war.
me. Listen, man. I'm saying
You have
the
your hand up,
loud
Smarsha?
part out loud, and I could never. But the man that asked the question, which is how could it happen? I guess I'll just word it in my own words. Is because the dumbing down of America for 40 years they cut the Republicans cut all of our every year the educational budget over and over and over again, and then baby Bush. Remember, he's like, no American, no child left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, let
Smarsha, one
them all
second. We'll get you
graduate.
up.
They can't fucking read. They can't comprehend. I lost one of my teaching jobs because I would not comply,
Yeah,
and they
passing
got rid of
students,
me.
eh? Like, we have the kind of a philosophy up here of just passing children. Like, and some of that like education process then falls back on the parents, and like when you have parents who are really trying to survive and provide, like we were describing earlier, a warm place to sleep and food in the belly, they sometimes are not able to provide that kind of educational support. So
No,
our
there's
education system kind of falls a little bit behind, not to anybody's fault. I want to be clear about that. I'm not blaming somebody. It's an effect, like
it
it's
is.
the
It's not
impact of
It
meant.
is.
society,
They get
right?
caught up in a time crunch. They're
Exactly.
both running to keep food in the mouths of kids,
Yeah.
and they're not smart either because they failed their childhood education.
Well, I think
And
it's a deterioration factor, right?
yep,
Like,
yep.
so, And then, hopefully, like, we can rely on trade work and stuff like that to really support us through this time, like in Canada too, like, where we can turn to blue collar people to really keep the engine of the country rolling while we navigate this negative
Absolutely.
impact, right?
And that's why vocational schools are very important. I
Or even introducing it in high schools, I think, like we
Oh
oh,
pulled
that's
yeah.
funding
where it
from it and stuff
starts.
like that, like
Yeah.
first aid, healthcare, and like we also used to do like auto mechanics, carpentry,
I
and
know.
woodworking,
Oh yeah.
and like home economics was
Teach kids how to balance a goddamn
Well,
checkbook.
back in the
but
middle '90s, not a checkbook. They never taught me that. But back in the '90s, when I
yeah,
started high school in 1994, every
I was
year,
too young.
yeah,
this
grade 9 kids would actually have to do home ec, auto shop,
exactly,
the wood shop. I forget what the other, but you literally
yeah,
would do a rotation
compulsory
through those
courses.
four. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks, man.
but like, yeah, and like when I was young, like we were also doing like extra credit. One of the teachers, and I don't know if teachers have this in them anymore, or if it's just like they've been beaten down so hard they can't do it. But like extracurriculars where teachers were showing economics. And like defining economics and showing introductory kind of concepts to economics and navigating the stock market and a real rudimentary understanding of what the stock market is and how it works. And then that was like in grade 7, 8, I was learning that. And then going into high school after that, we had, a different course load. I graduated in 93. That'd be
Now, as an
awesome.
educator, when I graduated and then I did my thesis, they one of my assignments, what there were several, but one was if you were given I don't know, 2 million, 2 billion, g- pick a number that you could work with to redesign the entire Department of Education, which asshole Trump is getting rid of.
Mm.
What would you do?
Well, here
I
in
got
Canada, we have
an A,
mm,
and what my
sorry.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm just going to finish
Oh
this.
yeah, okay, sorry. I didn't realize that
Thank
was a
you. No,
rhetorical question.
you're being sweet. But like I knew, and I was older, and I'm like, I knew what worked for me, and I knew what didn't work, and then what I tried to do, and then I tried to weave in through the like cracks that the federal government put in front of us teachers, and I ended up getting fired because I was trying to do. But anyway, I wrote this thing, and my professor was like, "Oh my God, June, this is perfection." And she said, "And you did it on such a reasonable budget." And it broke my heart. It made me happy because I got an A, and then I rolled out and I got my degree and my little props, but it's only getting worse. So
Mm.
anyway, I'm going to bid you all adieu. Mr. Beaver Politics, thank you so much.
Well, join us anytime. We have a 7 day a week show. Somebody different every time.
Oh,
You know,
name Beaver Politics. Somebody else comes up under your name.
well, each one of these cartoons represents a different creator that contributes to the Beaver
Oh, that's
Politics
so
Network.
cute.
I
Oh,
run
cool.
Sunday nights, and sometimes I can jump in here and there. But everybody has a different a different contribution, and some of us don't share the same perspective on how far to go. So like it's a good dynamic of people who go back and forth. A support network as well. Political support.
Such a great group.
So,
So
hey,
Junzi,
yes,
you
yes.
have been speaking with Happy. That's the host tonight. and that's his handle on TikTok.
Oh,
Oh,
he's
thank you.
happy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll learn all you little beavers. Like, you're all so cute. But I'm
Yeah.
coming back. I'm coming back as
Oh,
long
you're
as you'll
welcome
have
back.
me.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thank you guys. I
Yeah.
just
Take
Hey,
care.
Jen. Thank you for coming
I
in.
just one giant big squeeze to all you.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you very much for
remember,
Yeah.
joining.
Alrighty. If
you
you
can
want to
talk as
drop me
much as you
down
want.
for your algorithm, that'll be cool.
All right.
And then I'll jet.
Is that what she said? Do I want to
Yeah.
drop her down?
Drop
Okay.
her down. Yeah.
She
She
said,
was asking,
"Please don't
right?
drop me, please." And then
As soon as I hit that button, I was like, wait, did she really ask for that? Like, I was like second guessing myself.
yes, she did.
Like, damn, I shouldn't have pressed the button.
Damn, she's already borderline Canadian with how friggin' apologetic she was.
Right?
That's
Yeah,
so
she could
super
skip
true.
that course.
Yeah. She was sweet.
All right, we're back
It's
to
nice.
front-facing camera.
It's nice to have a view from an American that knows what's going on.
You mean
All
that
right,
wasn't a
thank you.
complete ass? Is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah, man, I really wish we could have more conversations with more Americans too. I would welcome that conversation. I think it's important right now.
Yeah.
Almost as important as our April 28th election that is coming up, which was announced today by our Liberal Prime Minister, Mr. Mark Carney, Dr. Prime Minister Mark Carney. So there's going to be an early election, April 28th. There's plenty of time for June 7th, G7 summit. So there should be a long-term mandate. So, you know, polls are changing from a conservative supermajority to some people even projecting liberal majority.
No, I don't want that either.
I don't think so. I think it'll be a minority with a balance of power held by one of the third parties. So hopefully we can develop some kind of coalescence amongst left of center parties, of which the liberals are left of center. I don't give a shit what you far left people say.
Well, they're farther left on certain things.
I'm voting for the doctor. Me too. They're further left on certain things for sure. But I fail to see what. I just think that we have a different solution to the same end. I think people fail to see that, with the policies in place, we're looking to engineer a system that provides for the same kind of principles that they're looking for. So that's a lot.
Agree, man. But yeah, I've already said I'm kind of conflicted because I want all the left stuff, but I want somebody to actually explain to us how we can convince corporations and conservative folks that we can actually pay for it.
I just think we need.
Pay for it. We know we.
I don't even need the conservatives, man. Like, I just need more people to vote. Like, I think we're getting a fraction of the voting base every single time, and
Yeah,
even
it should
if
be
we
mandatory.
exactly, I believe so too. I think it should be incentivized as well. Part of the budget should be directed towards facilitating for comfortable voting periods where it takes, maybe a 3-day process. And so the people in the West don't get pissed off. We'll count all the votes before we release the information because that seems to be a point of confusion. It won't change anything, just saying. But, or count them from the West to the East. I don't care.
Actually, here's one for you. Let's do the West. They can vote on, say, a Monday, and the East can vote on the Tuesday.
There you go. Sure. I don't know.
I know the argument you're talking about, though, because they're like, "Oh, our votes don't matter," and they're like, "Well,
by the time I get home from work, my vote doesn't
Yeah.
even matter anymore." Shit,
Yeah,
man.
and if we did it the other way, they'd say, "Hey, when I left for work, we were winning. And when I got home."
That's what I mean. We'll just release all the information at once. Don't just keep it all and just be like, "Yeah, so this is how it happened." Yada
But where's
yada
the
yada.
hype?
Well, and you know what I actually would like us to do, and it is on people's minds already, is change up the mixed proportionate government election system that we've been talking about and figure it out, because under that system we'd never have a majority government. We would always have a
Nobody can
minority.
agree on a change though. Like right now we have a system in place. Whether or not we like it or not, that's just what we have. But
Yes.
nobody can agree on what direction it takes. Some people want first past the post because it benefits their party. Some people want proportionate representation because, again, it benefits their party. And some people want ranked ballot voting, right? Like, they can't come to terms. That's why nothing has changed. Like I have, like these are small ideas. Like, like they should be thinking bigger, like splitting the provinces. I think that's a big one. Like constructing new monuments of achievement, like big cities that are advanced and testaments of our success and our innovation and ingenuity, and like creating jobs to build these cities, and using federal money to do it, and moving in military divisions to kind of kickstart it, and building like PMQ kind of bases and expanding around that, building, university facilities that are world renowned. Like, I don't understand why in Ontario they're doing this whole like spa blah 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 tourist bullshit. Like, we should have like an internationally recognized science center that has like different universities and colleges and like elevated institutions of learning that are world renowned. And $600 million for an underground parking lot. Like, are you joking? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, but
And
it was a really nice parking lot they had
Wait a
planned.
second.
So
Is that parking lot you guys are talking about? Is that like an iRobot one where you literally pull up and the building takes the car into the basement for you and
no,
parks
it was
it?
just regular
And that's it?
concrete, but
Oh,
overpriced
yeah.
because it was a buddy of Ford's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get my sarcasm though, right?
that's exactly it. Beautiful collection. I think that name is. Yeah, exactly. It just makes no sense, man. Like, it makes about as much sense as what you're talking about. And people just eat it up like, oh yeah, it makes sense to me. Like, no, it doesn't make sense, man. Like, we're like trying to evolve here as a society and expanding on things, like being at the forefront of technology. We should have these institutions where people flock internationally to them, be it for like short periods, long periods, like teaching, learning, like the whole works. And we have instead a spa.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, man, because then it puts more money in our countries and i.e. our pockets, because we're pulling all these people in from around the world that want what we have. So they're coming to give us their money.
Exactly. Exactly. And it would cost the same. It would cost the same to build that infrastructure and then fill it with people that start, I don't know, doing things that smart people do.
It's not quite that simple. What the problem would be is that the people that you pull in for particular venues are different people, right?
Oh,
So
for
if you're
sure.
talking about a world-renowned educational facility, you're not bringing in people who are spending all their cash.
No, no, you're paying
You're
those
bringing
people.
in, yeah, but you're bringing in people who are going to be church mouse poor because they're going to school, right?
No, those people,
Whereas the
those people.
spa,
I live in
I get what
Kingston.
you're saying.
I
right?
live near Kingston.
Yeah,
I live
yeah.
near Kingston. Trust me,
Yeah,
the students here, students going to school here from abroad, they ain't dirt poor.
No, no, Michael was alluding to the fact that these people have, like, people that will be visiting this place or short-term stays don't have any dependency on needing money. They come willing
none.
to spend in a commercial
They cost
and
you
cap.
nothing, they make you money,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So from that point of view, that's going to bring in more revenue than a world-renowned educational facility.
I think that's short-sighted, and I think a university,
Oh,
and
I think
we've
it's
seen.
ridiculous, but it's still true.
Yeah,
I think I
we all
think
agree on
I
that.
I think, like, universities and colleges have like a non-governmental kind of perspective to them. Like, they should really operate based on funding for like innovation and different kinds of like academic achievement goals, and putting more money into these kinds of facilities instead of obviously, um, you know corporate kind of welfare states or like donations to these really profitable businesses. And that I think that kind of like takes away from that impact on society. So like we might not have like a fully functional, but I still think we can find a way. So wife is dropping things over there.
There's no reason though why we can't do both, because we really should be doing both. We should have those world-renowned education centers, because like Kingston is it's college and university, at least of Queens. It's easily 50% foreign students. Easily 50% foreign students.
Well, just because they don't look white doesn't mean they're
No.
foreign.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking conversing with them and being, you know which ones are first generation and which ones are foreign students.
I think that's Japanese at the end. I don't know if it's Japanese at the beginning though. But hello and welcome.
Yeah, I'm actually in a college town as well, and yes, we absolutely have a lot of students from India and China, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, I'm not
right?
saying.
And they seem to have villainized.
I don't understand how that. Yeah,
coming
exactly,
for an
Michael.
education here. Right.
Well,
it should be a testament of pride. Like it should be something that we're proud of. Like like we have an education system that other people want to participate in, and they're going to pay us for it. Like, ooh, it's so bad.
No, but that's the people that I've listened to that are having issues with it is whether or not it's true or not. They feel that having this many international students is taking away seats from Canadian students.
Yeah, but that didn't make sense because that was showing.
These people, are they actually humans that you've spoken to, or is it just online?
No.
Okay, so here's my question.
In my community,
all right,
because
here's my question.
Yep.
Okay, how well educated are the people that are thinking that?
Or that
are they just high school educated? Are they university educated people that are thinking that?
Most people in my circle are not college educated. I would consider myself by far the most educated, and that's because of my own personal choices and the knowledge that I've acquired.
Yeah. I find that there is more resistance the lower you go in educational with Canadians.
I try to explain to them, it's like because our tuition would end up costing more if we didn't have those international students. And then our government would put in even more money, which would, once again, cost even more money. So having the international students is actually a good thing.
Yeah, don't worry, though. Dougie's not going to put any more money in. He'll just let them close.
Yeah, I looked up a stat, like a couple of, last year or something like that, having the same kind of discussion about the impact of foreign students and like the drain. And I looked up how much money is repaid to colleges that are, the loans are taken by foreign exchange students or whatever versus people from here. And it's really striking to see the disparity. Like, like they're at like 99% and like Canadians are like way down. Like
I'm gonna jump out. I have a meeting, but I just wanted to say that a lot of people come to Canada because we have a beautiful country, but more than anything, we have beautiful people in this country.
That was directed at me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I will talk to you later. Thank you, Happy.
See you later, son. Yeah, we're about to shut it down too. I've ran 2 hours. I should be only going 1 hour. I think.
Yeah, you talk a lot, eh?
I do talk a lot. I really like hearing from people though, man. Like, honest to God, I think those conversations are really beneficial right now. And I think, when you show that the similarities between the opposing sides and how most of our values align, I think it's important.
All right. Well, I will jump down and have a safe night. Thanks for having me up, and you be safe.
Right on. Thanks for coming up. As always, you've been a great guest.
Nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, man. Thanks for the conversations, guys. It was really good. As usual, Michael has been great, and the injections from others also were invigorating. I mean, tonight, like I'm kind of taken back because we got to listen to an American and really heard her voice and what she was concerned about, and sharing those same concerns, those same like family core values, and really like building those relationships. I think becomes really important, and going forward, I think those are the kinds of things that I'm going to try to focus on when I do lives, or when I try to enter conversations. You know, build that stuff that really brings people together. Anyways, thank you all for joining me. We'll talk to you next week or before.